So I've just finished Assassin's Creed 2 for the upteenth time, this time recording it, which was a whole new experience, but I've completely fallen in love with the story all over again, and I just absolutely adore Ezio's character arc. He's seriously such a well-written character, and it's no wonder he's the face of the franchise in many respects after all this time. But in reading the discourse of Ezio online, it's got me thinking, why do people love Ezio so much? And something I keep seeing pop up is that people say that he's funny, he's charming, and he's witty, but I think that couldn't be further from the truth. You see, I think Ezio is actually a very deep and tragic character, and I wouldn't say his defining personality traits are that he's funny and witty and charming, it's that he's depressed, that he is so driven by revenge and his mission to bring those responsible for his family's death to justice. When people talk about Ezio being those things, witty and charming, it's only really for the first sequence of the game before his family is killed. Every subsequent sequence after that, he is consumed by revenge. Every single thing he does is to find the Templars and kill them. It's very rare that we see Ezio crack jokes and have a smile. It's only when he's with friends and people that he trusts that he does this. When he is locked in and focused on a mission, nothing will get in his way. I'll play some clips to show you what I mean, and I'll compare and contrast how he is at the very start of the game, how he is with friends, and then when he's actually on mission and when he's thinking about his family, of course.
Besides, I've no money for this doctor of yours.
Wasted it on women and wine, huh?
I'd hardly call it wasted. Lend me some florins then. Or have you done the same?
Search them. Keep up the good work.
Bischiero.
Your behavior is unacceptable. It reminds me of myself when I was your age. I assume these misadventures won't interfere with your work today.
No, padre. Avete la mia parola.
He's very talented.
Immagino.
Self-expression is vital to understanding and enjoying life. You should find an outlet.
I have plenty of outlets.
I meant besides vaginas.
Mother.
You must help him. That pretty face is his only asset.
Fottiti.
I see. Kind of you to bring me the apple. Now give it here!
Vai a farti fottere. Pezzo di merda! Vorrei solo che avessi sofferto di più! Hai avuto la fine che meritavi! Spero che
Enough, Ezio! Show some respect.
Respect? After all that's happened, do you think he would have shown either of us such kindness?
You are not Fieri. Do not become him.
Your good work has restored us to our former strength, Ezio. We are ready to strike.
Just tell me what needs to be done, and I'll see that it is. This is for my father. Paola?
He's gone, but we have what we came for.
No. I need to go after him.
Do you really now?
There you are, Ezio. Why so serious?
It's my birthday.
Davvero? 100 di questi giorni. That's wonderful.
Is it? It's been over 10 years since I watched my father and brothers die. 10 years hunting the men responsible. So close to the end now, but no closer to understanding what any of it was for.
You may not see it, Ezio, but it's better here now because of the things you've done. Basta. Look here.
So the general consensus online seems to be that the reason why everyone loved Ezio was just because he was just so damn charming. And I think Ubisoft took note of that and tried to replicate that in future protagonists to varying degrees of success. Arno and Jacob in particular, they're both pretty witty and clever characters. However, they don't go through that contrast that Ezio had. Ezio's contrast is before his family was killed and after. He goes through a complete personality shift, something that Arno and Jacob don't really have. Arno, for example, had his father killed and then later on his adoptive father killed. However, I don't think we really see his personality change all that much. How does Arno in sequence 1, when he's just having fun in Versailles, contrast to Arno in sequence 7 when he's mucking about as an assassin? The only real contrast we see as Arno is in the Dead Kings DLC, after Elise has died. Sorry, spoiler alert. I think that Arno's character in Dead Kings is probably the best we've seen his character, because he's struggling, because he's going through the grieving process and not dealing with it in a very healthy way. Compare that to how he handles Merced de la Serre's death. He gets thrown to the Bastille and not much thought is really given into it. He immediately then takes up a training with Belek, and so that aspect of the story is pushed aside. When Arno's father died, that was off screen and we didn't see Arno's grieving process, but contrast how Arno is in that first mission as a child, messing around with Elise, to how he's in sequence 1. He's still messing around with Elise, getting into trouble. So there's not really that overt character shift. We can't look at Arno's dad's death and be like, yes, when he was a child, he was very carefree and innocent, and then look at him when he's a young adult, he's very moody, very grumpy. There's not really that change like there was in Ezio, or even Batman in that case. Jacob Fry is another example, I think, where they tried to make him very charming and witty, but he's just sort of coming across as a buffoon. He never has any moment throughout all of Syndicate where he has to really lock in and improve his character. I know towards the end they sort of force this like, hey Jacob, you're not really paying attention, you're messing up and your mistakes are causing problems for England, but he doesn't have a moment where he goes, yes, you're right, I've messed up, I'll do better. He's still just his joking self. So did he really learn anything? The way they play it in the story is that he needs to repair his relationship with his sister, not repair his attitude as an assassin. Going to the other side of the pendulum, you have a character like Connor, who isn't very witty or charming. However, there's a narrative reason for that as well. He was subject to a horrible tragedy at a very young age with his mother dying, and that just completely determined his entire outlook on life and his motivations going forward. However, as well, in that one mission where he's playing hide and go seek, and the story's meant to be showing him as being happy-go-lucky, carefree child, when he does come across Charles Lee and he gets assaulted, he does say very outright, when I'm older, I'll find you. So he always had that character trait of being driven, but when his mother died, of course, that just gave him purpose. It didn't help as well that the general consensus on Connor was that he was an inferior character to Ezio in almost every regard, and I'm sure Ubisoft heard that criticism and then course corrected in a lot of ways for Arno and Jacob to try and make them witty and smart and to ape a lot of Ezio's characteristics without fully grasping and understand what made Ezio such a compelling character to begin with. I've gone on a bit of a tangent and a bit of a ramble, but as I was saying before, I was thinking about the general public's consensus on Ezio being a charming and witty person, and that's why he's a great character. And it's got me thinking, I don't think assassins should be happy. I don't think that assassins should be funny, charming, or witty individuals. To be an assassin, you had to have been driven into that lifestyle by some sort of event that has completely changed you as a person and warped your perspective enough that you are now okay to start killing people to achieve your goals. To be able to do that, I don't think that you can also at the same time be happy. I think it's quite oxymoronic. I think that this is an aspect the writers of Assassin's Creed have maybe failed to tap into. Just what is the psyche of someone who willingly joins the Assassins? There's a conversation in the modern day of Assassin's Creed 2 between Sean, Desmond and Rebecca where Sean points out that, hey, we're not the good guys, we kill people, we take lives. Of course assassins are the good guys, it's just the means in which they do it is questionable. There's of course as well a quote like that in Altair's Codex. I'll bring it up on screen and read it out to you right now. What follows are the three great ironies of the Assassin's Order. Here we seek to promote peace, but murder is our means. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. Does our creed provide the answer then? That one may be two things, opposite in every way simultaneously? And why not? Am I not proof? We of noble intentions, possessed of barbaric means. We who celebrate the sanctity of life, and then promptly take it from those we deem our enemies. As you can see, there's a contradiction in the creed and the assassin's way of doing things. And it's a contradiction in a assassin's personal beliefs as well. And I think that's something that, as a writer, we need to see go further in depth and talk about for these characters. I think that the way the assassins rationalize in their head why they're killing people and how they justify it with their own tragic experience in the past is really interesting and an untapped story potential. Ultimately, I think what drives someone to become an assassin is their own personal tragedy, and they vow not to let that happen to another person. That's pretty much Batman's entire ethos as well. You know, when he sees children, he goes, I will not let them end up like me. That's what he did with Dick Grayson, the first Robin. He took him under his wing and gave him a purpose, because he saw that what happened to Dick was what happened to him, and he didn't want him to end up like him. I think assassins are the same. They say, I was wronged by the powers that be, whether that's the Templars or the government of the day, and they say that no, I'm taking matters into my own hands and I will not let anyone else be the victim that I was that day. And as I said before, I don't think a character that does that can at the same time also be witty and charming and funny, because they've got that scar in their heart that prevents them from being a normal person like the rest of us. They are loners and separate from society in many ways. Look at Ezio, for example. He spends his birthday on his own. That just further highlights the loner behaviour of assassins. So because assassins would have had this tragic thing in their past that led them to willingly joining the assassins, it doesn't feel right then for them to be going around cracking jokes and making quips throughout the whole game when they're killing people. Mind you, I still think that they can make jokes. Ezio, of course, always would be friendly around his friends, and then of course you've got Bayek, who's so friendly around children and always having a laugh with them, but there's always this tinge of sadness with them. Bayek in particular, he's so great around children because at his heart he is a father, or rather he was a father after his son died, and that's truly what he wants to be, what he wants to return to. However, the tragedy is that he cannot. And you see in a lot of his scenes, he's smiling, having a laugh, and then when he's alone, the facade drops and he's sad and he's depressed. And even in the scene itself, when the children or characters walk out of screen, he's back to his real self. I've rambled heaps in this video. I don't really know how to finish this, and I've run out of steam now. It was just one of those moments where I have a shower thought and I thought I'd put my thoughts to paper and get my 2 cents out there and see what sticks. But if you've watched this and you've nodded along at any point and you agree or disagree, please sound off in the comments down below. I'm always willing to have a yarn and a conversation about these kinds of things, whether you agree or disagree with me. You can subscribe if you want. Again, that feels weird to say, but just make sure you have a safe day. Alright folks, thank you.